You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Revolutionary Radio Project with your host, Rob Skiba.
All I'm offering is the truth.
Hello and welcome to the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba, and this evening we're going to take a little break from the series that I've been doing with Brian Godawa. We will pick up and where we left off in the near future, but I wanted to bring on Robbie Davidson again this evening because we've got a pretty huge event coming up next week, and we want to talk about that, and as well as a new DVD that Robbie's just put out. So let's go ahead and just jump in. Robbie, are you there, sir?
I'm here. Thanks so much for having me on, Rob. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. So, big event coming up next week.
Huge. You know how they say it like that? Huge. This one is big. I mean, there is media coming in from all over. We're now at a point where we're actually basically saying we are full. So we're at a point where the media are calling and it's intensifying. And again, we have it completely booked. We've got 4 documentary crews that will be shooting. We've got all sorts of press. We have people coming in from Australia, Germany, all over, as well as local press. And, it's going to be an exciting time. We've got all the provisions in place, just kind of getting last minute details done. Looking at the timer right now, we've got 7 days, 7 hours, and 58 minutes to go. So it's exciting, obviously, for me. Like I said, we launched this and we made the announcement February of this year, and now we're down to 7 days. It will be November 9th and 10th in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have the live stream up, and for anyone that really can't go or you're interested in taking part, like I said, it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. We've got a great production crew that's going to be putting on a really great live stream. You can go to fe2017.com, sign up for the live stream. It includes both days, my film premiere, Scientism Exposed 2, which we'll be talking about more here in the show, as well as the Flat Earth Video Awards show. So all of that's included for the $27, as well as the 72-hour replay. So if you can't catch it live, don't worry. We have you covered. You can watch it, at your convenience when you can get around to it.
Nice. And we're talking, of course, about the first annual, I'm suspecting,
Yes.
International Flat Earth Conference.
Yeah, the Flat Earth International Conference 2017. So FEIC 17. We're incredibly excited. Like I said, I'm at a point where I keep telling people, I probably will not be able to sleep the night before. I mean, I'll be setting up and getting everything ready. But again, it's going to be exciting. There's about 550 people going to be there in total as far as in attendance. And like I said, we're looking to put on an incredibly good show, have a great time, and like I said, proclaim this truth to the world in a way that I don't believe going forward they're going to be able to, just easily dismiss or ignore us. I think they're going to be very interested to see really, truly what is going on when so many people are waking up to the same thing. And again, when they can't put us in a box and say, oh, they're just a bunch of religious people. They're all a bunch of Bible thumpers. Well, the fact of the matter is that's not true. And I think that's what's causing a lot of curiosity for a lot of press around the world is they're saying, we'd love to just lump you guys together as dumb or whatever, but we're seeing some really intelligent people coming out of this. We're seeing people with letters after their name. So, what is truly going on? So I think that's what's going for, really playing well when it comes to this is because all walks of life are coming to this. It doesn't really matter. It's not religious. I mean, there's lots of people that are, learning to look at the Bible again, in and see it for the first time the way it was supposed to be read, but as well, there's people that are coming and basically exposing the lies of scientism and looking at NASA and all these areas. And it's just, to me, as a Christian, it's so exciting because for the first time, we have all these people that are 110% convinced they've been lied to. There truly is a creator. They're just not maybe sure just yet who that true creator is. But it's a great opportunity. It's going to be a great time, and I'm really super excited to talk about it and to be a part of something that truly will make history.
That's for sure, for better or worse. I'm sure it will. We're going to pray for the better, right?
Yes.
Again, the website is fe2017.com. Just went there myself, looking at it and see a video right on the front page there of the billboard. This is the first time I've actually seen the billboard.
Okay.
Somebody put a huge billboard up. I guess is it right near the conference?
It's about 12 miles. It's about 12 miles away, and the plan is that the day before we're kind of doing a kickoff for the conference. And I don't think I've ever heard of any type of event or even a conference being kicked off this way. But there's going to be a lot of us around the billboard the day before with a drone flying around, streaming straight to the internet. So we're going to be contacting the media, and it's just going to be a fantastic way to kick off, this conference and get a lot of attention based on all these people, hanging around this billboard with a drone shooting us, streaming straight to the internet live. So it's going to be an exciting time, and hopefully you'll be able to come out. I know that you're in on time, and hopefully you'll be able to come and hang out with us all there. It's going to be kind of fun, make history, definitely kicking off Flat Earth International Conference around a billboard. And from my understanding, this billboard is one of the biggest to date in the United States of America. As far as all the billboards that have gone up, like in Oklahoma and other states, this one is the biggest to date.
Wow, it is pretty huge. That's a week from today. It's next Wednesday. Yeah, we're planning on, Sheila and I should be flying in. We should be getting in around 2. So as I understand it, you guys are going to try to get together around 3. So hopefully everything will work out, and I should be able to.
We'll definitely make sure that we wait for you. That's for sure. Absolutely, we'll get you down there because it's that's the plan is around 2-3. We're gonna do that, but we'll be able to talk more about details and make sure that get you down there before everything happens. But
keep your phone handy.
Oh yeah, it's handy. I got a million calls coming in, that sort of thing. So I'll give you. I'll give you like the secret bat line, so you can call up and.
Yeah, exactly.
So this landed.
There we go. This billboard says it's a big black billboard with a composite image of the Earth taken from NASA's website. It says the Earth is not a globe. Official NASA photo of the Earth with a big red fake label stamped on top of it. It says search YouTube, and then it has a quote: "A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions." What is that? Do you know anything about that?
That's I believe that's the video that ODD had made. He's made some really great videos. One was like Flat Earth in under 5 minutes. And then also this one just goes through the 21 main questions that pretty much everyone asks the minute you bring up this topic. Go, yeah, what about this? What about that? What about ships? So he addresses every 21 questions. So it's just been kind of one of those videos. I think it's close to 1 million views right now, that video. And It's just really well done because it addresses all those common 21 questions that you, me, pretty much anyone that's in this community for any extended period of time have heard over and over and over again. It's almost like, why don't you go see A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions, then come back to me and let's talk, because it will address most of those common questions that we hear over and over again, especially, ships go over the horizon, what about the pictures, these kind of things. So he goes through those, explains them in a really good way. So. Yeah,
right on. Well, speaking of that, I don't want to get too controversial here, but I think it's worth talking about. What happened with ODD? I know he was scheduled to be. He was supposed to open the event, as I understand it.
Well, he was in the beginning session, and again I think it was about 2.5 weeks before, and he just said I'm out. I can't really go. I know there were some videos put out questioning some of the activity as far as the app and the domain name, I think, of Mark Sargent. And I'm not going to get into it too much. All I can say is a lot of the stuff that was kind of put out, I worked in the web for about 15 years. As a webmaster, I understand creation dates, editing dates, different things. Now, if someone actually talks to a webmaster or talks to someone that actually has, knowledge in that area, it's pretty easy to be explained. Now, I'm not siding either way. What I'm saying is, it seemed to me like it was kind of something that was done in haste really quickly. It's unfortunate, really looking forward forward to it. Got to know, ODD really well, talking to him, and, it's disappointing. But the good news is we definitely got, someone to be in place, D Marble. So he's going to be kind of taking the beginning spot there. And, the show must go on, right? But it was disappointing for me, obviously. And, my biggest thing for anyone that's on the fence or really, has these suspicions. I mean, the internet, as we sit on there, we get more and more skeptical, and basically maybe some of us are all like that, where we're really suspicious. But what I say is, hey, get someone at least on the phone, or why don't you meet them in person? Sit down with them, say, I got some serious questions. I want look them in the eye. Let's be real people. So I think that, that is really important going forward, that people will be able to, there's going to be a lot of people meeting, not just the community, but even the YouTube creators being able to meet. I think it will be really good, because going forward, we know we're real people. I got to meet you a couple months back, and it was awesome. It just became real at that point. So to me, it's always important before we rush to conclusions. And there's a lot of, and this is a spiritual attack as well too. I know that there's a lot of attack coming, and it's not surprising to me that there'll be a lot more drama and attack coming closer to this conference, right? But again, I know that things are going to be good. Everything is great. Things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. So I'm just kind of staying on course. And no matter kind of what happens, the show must go on, and it will go on. And, we're going to have a great time, and it's going to be an amazing, time in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we'll see what the future holds. But I'm excited on all fronts, and I'm choosing not to get sucked into any drama or get my eyes unfocused on what is ahead of us. And there is a lot that needs to be done still. And I want to make sure that I represent well enough for the people that are coming, such as you, Rob, but then also the community, right? That it's a great time. People are proud to be part of something that really we all kind of agree. The one thing we can agree on is we see the big picture. We all have our disagreements, but we're in this kind of together at the point where we have to say, wait a minute, let's put that aside for now. And let's all unify in the fact that there is huge amount of lies being told to the world. We can unify on that area. We can, be honest and say, yes, we have disagreements with one another, but we don't have to, hate each other. We don't have to, put out hit videos and all these sort of things. And we can just move forward. So I'm excited for the people that are coming, because again, most of these people really see the idea of, getting to this level where we can really get this message out and get people questioning. That's basically the biggest thing. Just like this billboard, that's on the website, this is going to get people questioning. What's that all about, right? So they type in FE 2017. They find out there's a conference, right in their city, right? And the local media that have reached out, they're just blown away. They're like, why Raleigh? This is crazy. This is the first time ever. And they're like, so it is newsworthy. And again, we're going to see a shift rather than just ridicule and laughter. Even the media that I talk to, they're at a point now where that's kind of getting old. Now they're getting more intrigued. They have to get more into the psychological aspects or this or that. So to me, all press is good, regardless, even if it's bad, and we can't avoid bad or good press. But what I can say is the more eyeballs are on this, the more people that are typing in YouTube or looking into this, the more people are going to come to this. And like I said, when they actually start looking into it, they're going to be like, oh, wow. And even if a 99 people laugh, but that one person says, wait a minute, no, I'm not laughing. I'm going to investigate this further. That's the people. It's all about one person at a time. So we don't have to look at mass numbers. All we have to do is be able to have platforms and avenues that we can get this message out. And I think if we do it in a professional enough way, just like if we do stuff of excellence, whether it's our videos, whether it's our radio shows, it doesn't matter. If we're doing things of excellence, there'll be people that will take a second look just because it's done that way. And I've got a lot of people, especially with my documentaries, that reached out and said, I wouldn't give it the time of day, but it was done well. So I paid attention, I gave it a second chance. So there is that approach as well. And I think that's kind of what I'm looking at doing with FEIC, is giving that approach where it's like, hey, man, we can laugh all we want, but this is pretty amazingly done. They're doing a good job, right? And so if they're getting to this point, maybe we can't just fully ignore them. Maybe we're going to have to address this, And the funny thing is, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye, they're never going to address this. They're never going to show up for a debate. And that's going to make the world wonder, well, why isn't someone just shutting these guys down? Why aren't they actually debating? That's what we're looking for. A lot of people are just saying, hey, let's just have a healthy, good debate. So I think some people, when they see that they won't come to the table on this, they're like, well, wait a minute. What are they scared of? Maybe they're onto something. So I'm excited. Like I said, I just see nothing but positivity as we move forward. And I think we're going to go to the next level, I think, after the conference. I tell people all the time, it's not about what happens at the conference. It's what's going to happen after the conference. the friendships that are made, the networking that's going to happen, just the energy, just, you know what it's like when you go to a great conference, when you go to a great event. I mean, you're jazzed, you come out of it, you're excited. Even the negativity that you see around you, it kind of dissipates for a while, right? So I think we all need this. The YouTube creators, the community, all of us, we need something like this, and we're about to have it in a week's time.
Yeah, I want to weigh in a little bit on that ODD situation and say, first of all, that I like all these guys. I like ODD, I like Mark Sargent, I like Patricia. When I saw the video come out, I was just kind of like, oh man, really? Because like you, I'm in the web business, and I have registered plenty of domains for other people. Mm-hmm. That know nothing, or they either know nothing about the web, or they don't have time to deal with it. So they say, hey, Rob, can you register my domain name? So all of the so-called evidence that was being put forth, to me, I had, without defending Mark, I'm not trying to say he's a saint or anything like that. I'm just saying I like the guy. I don't have any issues with him. I think he's a cool person. But the arguments leveled against him were, in my opinion, very lame and have an easy answer. I mean, same thing with the apps. And I'm just saying this for the sake of my audience, that maybe I've had some people questioning and sending me emails and texts and go, what about this? What about this? Everybody wants to know what's going on. Sure. And, when it comes to apps, it appears to me they use the template. And if an app was developed at, let's say, 2009 and had some updates in 2010 or whatever, that's the app itself that was then customized, apparently, for Mark or Patricia, later on, 2015, 2016, or what have you. So, I mean, there were a lot of real legitimate answers.
Well, the other thing, too, sorry to cut you off, but he reached out to Jaron, he reached out to David, he reached out to other people saying, hey, do you want to build an app? And they were just kind of like, at this point, they weren't quite sure. But I reached out to Mark before. We're like, Mark, I got an idea. I want to kind of do this. Yeah, go ahead. Who cares? Like, Mark is just like that. Right? Yeah. You could call him up and say, hey, I'm looking at registering Mark Sargent. Personally myself, if someone called and said, hey, I got RobbieDavidson.com, can I go and do this with it? I'd be like, let's talk a little bit. I wouldn't just be like, yeah, do whatever you want with my name. But Mark's like that. Mark's so incredibly, what I can say about Mark is, if you have an event on, if you're doing a meetup in your little town and you say, Mark, can you give me a word out, a shout out? Yeah, sure, I'll do a video for you. Mark is so completely helpful. He's one of the hardest working in Flat Earth, in my opinion. But what I say all the time is, if you ever really underestimate it, all you have to do is try to do a meetup in your city and ask Mark if he would actually promote it. He'll promote it in 3 seconds. Sure. Yeah. Right? So he's been nothing but great. Sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to mention that, the app developer had reached out to other people and asked, do you want to do it? But he's just an app developer. It is strange, but if you actually look at the history of MarkSargent.com, many, many people have owned it throughout the years. It's jumped all over the place. So someone snatched it up and away it goes. But Mark to this day does not have control of MarkSargent.com. I mean, that's just a reality. He doesn't care, though. He just doesn't care. And,
that's interesting. Well, I didn't know that, but it's still, I mean,
he has enclosed world, and he's got the other enclosed world and stuff like that. But at that point, he just didn't care or whatever. But again, from you and I'm sure you and I would care. Who had our name. But again, if all of a sudden they were saying, hey, we're going to do something, to promote you, and we'll put together a plan. I mean, that's a little bit different, but it is a little strange. Don't get me wrong, but what I can definitely say about Mark, as far as, being, all shady or CIA based on an app or a web domain. No, I mean, as truthers, I think we really need to take time. We need to investigate it. And if this stuff doesn't even hold up on YouTube, I mean, this wouldn't hold up in a court of law. It doesn't even hold up on YouTube. And it gets everyone all up in arms, and everyone starts looking at it and they start railing on it. And I say, okay, fine. You have your opinions on Mark and Patricia, fine. Why don't you meet them? Come to the conference, sit down. They are willing, and they will meet you. I even said this about ODD. As I said, unfortunately, if he had just talked with me and said, look, I've got some serious questions, Mark would have got on a plane and flown to ODD and sat down with them face to face and had a good discussion. But again, what I'm saying is, I just find it interesting that some people won't even give the opportunity just to get someone on the phone. Let's just have a conversation, right? Yeah. Are we so detached on the computer that we're so skeptical of people, we're too scared to even call them on the phone? That, to me, I'm all about personal relationships. I'm all about getting someone on the phone or meeting in person. So all I'm saying, anyone listening, doesn't matter. You can disagree with me all you want. But what I'm saying is, at least get someone on the phone. And these people are more than willing to make time to get on the phone, to actually even meet in person, especially if there's somebody of major influence like ODD and he's going to put out a certain video. I just wish that ODD would have actually at least made provisions. There were people that were suggesting having a group chat or, addressing all these things and then go from there. If you think that they're full of it, it doesn't add up still, fine. But that opportunity wasn't even given. And I just think that's unfortunate. And it's disappointing, but, we'll see what happens long term. Hopefully, maybe something will happen and maybe he'll think that he rushed to conclusions too quickly. He'll apologize. The one thing I can say about ODD is he has been very transparent, and he's been to the point where he will address some, say, I was in the wrong. He did it once before. He came against Patricia and a bunch of stuff, and he said, I was wrong. I'm sorry, right? And everything was good for a while. And then, so I do know that, and I'm very hopeful, especially getting to know him, that maybe in time he'll be like, you know what, man, I'm just going to be a man about it. I'm going to tell people, I'm going to be apologetic and say, I rushed to conclusions. I shouldn't have done that. It hurt a lot of people and I was in the wrong. And maybe he won't be, but I just think that he's got that type of demeanor and that he'll come and he'll just be, he's man enough to say, I'm sorry, or to say I was wrong. And I just respect that about him.
Yeah, like I said, I like all these guys. I have no problem with. I hate seeing all this. And what happened for me is I was being passed. Those videos were being passed to me about the same time somebody sent me a video of somebody that did a hit piece on me, and I watched this video, and it's just the problem with the so-called truther community is when there are real legitimate conspiracies, absolutely, but not everything. I mean, everything. Not everything is a conspiracy, And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't agree with this guy or whatever. So let me go find out if he's really an Illuminati shill and dig up everything I possibly can to prove my point.
All right, guys. So I'm going to expose Rob Skiba real quick. I'm getting pretty tired of seeing this guy.
And this person had taken clips from, there was a testimonial video back in 2003. My home church in Massachusetts, a good fundamental Baptist church, was doing the purpose-driven life, as was just about every evangelical church in the country in 2003. Before Rick Warren, he may have always been kind of off his rocker, but
sure,
it wasn't until later on, after his stuff became extremely successful, that he became like this highly suspicious character, at least for most of us anyway. And back then, none of us were suspecting anything. The book was good. The book, actually, I was reading that book right in the middle of a very painful divorce, and there was a lot of things in that book that actually helped me. And so in my video, I make reference to that book as part of my testimony that helped me through, because it is. But all of a sudden now, I'm associated with Rick Warren.
Here he showed you book, The Purpose-Driven Life, written by Rick Warren. This guy right here is shaking the hand of the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. So there's another big clue that this guy's a deceiver.
And there's a piece in this video that shows me where I'm talking about dreaming big and whatnot. And there's a picture that shows me standing next to George Lucas.
So we're gonna look at a few clues. We're gonna hear him from his own mouth, tell you his background, his sketchy background. And here's him and George Lucas on location when he's young. So obviously he had some connections from very early on.
The problem is the actual photograph that's there is Spielberg standing next to Lucas. I just photoshopped my face into it, but these people don't take any time to look into anything. I've got a page on my Facebook. If people go to my Facebook page, click on my photo albums and look for the one that says Dream Board, it shows me with a whole bunch of Hollywood celebrities. But I'm not really in any of those pictures. All of those pictures are 100% Photoshop. But I mean, this is the problem. People don't really take the time to do any research. They jump to conclusions. They make these videos. And like you said, and I'm just as guilty, and I just want to give a shout out to you for the fact that you are a peacemaker and all about relationships, because I was ready to do a counter hit piece on a few individuals that I perceived to have been coming against me. And, you happened to call me right when I was stewing on it. Like, I'm literally like, I'm gonna, and you called me up and you're like, whoa, dude. No, you need to call him. You need to talk to him. And I did. I ended up, we ended up having a 3-hour long, and we did it face to face on a private Google Hangout. It wasn't public or published or anything like that, but it was a private Google Hangout. So I could look in his eyes. He could look into my eyes. We could talk face to face. Now, he still continued to do videos after that, but you know what? We've had the face-to-face. We're going to meet each other again at the conference, and I am anticipating it being a good meeting.
Yep.
But, I mean, to your credit, you're like, dude, no, you need to call. And, yeah, I think there needs to be a lot more of that, especially, you know, good grief. I mean, right now, the truther community, and pick a subject, not just flat earth, pick a subject. It's fracturing like crazy. There's so much division, and it's like, well, it wouldn't be that way if people actually took the time, like you said, to reach out, contact somebody, talk to them face to face, get the scoop. Don't just, you know, do a clickbait video, you know, hit piece.
Yeah, and even in future events, if there's like a time at these conferences where it's like you just want to get your grievances out, you want to get your questions in a respectful way. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this is over time, this will be an opportunity to confront someone. If you're looking at just, you know, you want to just look them in the eyes, you want to get to know them. I know pretty much everyone there deep down, and they would take the opportunity, they would take the time to do this if it meant that, you know, someone was really, you know, upset or they're worried or they're, you know, if this was genuine, they will take the time. Like, that's the thing that people don't understand is people that have met, let's just say Mark and Patricia, they're blown away at how much time they just spend with them. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't need to spend that much time. They just spent time. They were just nice, you know. And that's what there's a lot of people that are skeptical that are going to come to this event. And then all of a sudden, Mark's just going to sit down, talk to them, and they're like, well, he was awesome. He was nice, you know. So, I mean, it's one thing if you have your suspicions, but at least he's nice. He's not playing this game, you know. And if he was controlling the information, he definitely is not going to promote your videos. But the fact of the matter is he'll promote anyone. So, you know, these are not ideal shills. I mean, the joke they always say is like, look, I mean, the government really, if they're going to use, you know, two people, why would they use Mark and Patricia as their two main operatives, you know? But again, getting out of all of that, I'm just saying that when you get to know people, it becomes silly. And again, we all fall into this trap. I did this myself as well, you know, early on when I'm looking around, I'm suspicious of everything, right? We need to at least, you know, get to know someone on a personal level, whether it's on the phone or hopefully in person, because you can address things, you can just see things, and just things become a lot more real. So anyone listening that's coming to the conference that's even on the fence about anyone, well, I think you're going to change afterwards. I mean, not only are you going to change, you're going to have a great time. You're going to want to keep coming out because it's going to be a great time. It's going to be awesome. Everyone's there because they see the big picture. No one's better than anyone there. It's all about community. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be safe. It's going to be family friendly. It's going to be done professional. And over time, it's really going to start maturing the community because I agree with you. There's a lot of, you know, infighting and all this stuff's going on. But again, there's never really been anything like this before. So once this starts happening, as time moves forward, it will start maturing to a point where people will just become a little bit more hospitable. They'll become more real. They'll become more genuine. They'll become more transparent. And again, not to mention all the amazing friendships and the bonds and the networking that will happen and the meetups that will happen afterwards. You know, that's already starting to happen. So like I said, it's going to go to the next level after this conference. It's not what happens at the conference. It's what's going to happen afterwards. And I'm so hopeful and excited for, you know, the future because I know that something like this will actually, you know, springboard it, you know, forward in this direction that it needs to go. And it really does. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come against this because this is spiritual. Satan absolutely loathes and hates the truth of the true creation coming out. He absolutely hates it. It's like the biggest lie that Satan has been trying to keep from men, and it's now being revealed. Oh yes, we're going to be under attack, but greater is he that is in us than he who is in the world. And that's what we can take heart in, the fact that this is completely planned. It will be great, we'll be fine, and honestly, you know, it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited.
All right, and we'll continue when we come back from the break. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba, and I'm talking with my guest this evening, Robbie Davidson. And Robbie, you said something right before the break about it's going to be safe, and I saw something else you had posted on Facebook recently about beefing up security. That's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, and it's not like, I mean, I wanted to post it just to give people assurances, but again, I'm not worried at all. I mean, there's good security in place, and it was actually a strong recommendation from, good friend of both of ours, John Gabrielson, that basically is coming in and he's actually going to be directing a lot of the conference.
Oh, yeah.
But again, as being a police officer, understanding security, he just said it might be a good idea to look into this. So once I did, and he kind of initiated it, to me it just made sense, because it's a way to really deter. Even if there was someone that wanted to maybe do something, they know, well, wait a minute, I don't even have time. Because usually with security, they've got to kind of wait for the authorities to get there. They can deal with something, but you can't get into like anything like this. Now, the worst thing that I'm looking at is possibly like maybe a heckler, but I'm not thinking anything to do with like violence or anything major like disruptions. The most that I'm looking at possibly is maybe just like, maybe a heckler or something. But again, it will be dealt with quick. I have a zero tolerance policy for any disruptions to the program. And, security are going to know to handle things very, very quickly. And I mean, if anyone really wants to try it, I guess it's going to be fun when we're sharing, through social media pictures of them in handcuffs. I think they're going to look more foolish. But really, if that's their plan, then if they want their little moment of fame, I mean, I guess they'll get it. There's nothing we can do to stop that, but we can react very quickly and deal with it. Overall, it will be safe. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I would say shortly, into the actual conference, no one's even going to be thinking about this. We're just thinking about these type of things because we're online. We see all this stuff that's happening. It starts to weigh on us. But really, when you actually start looking and all the outpouring and the support and the emails I'm getting, I mean, the majority, that are actually represented there, obviously, these people are looking forward to this. They've been looking forward to this for months. It is so exciting. It's so exciting for all of us. We're going to have a great time. And just hopefully more and more people will start looking at it going, you know what, like, I'm just going to lay back a little bit and maybe I'm going to go next year. What am I worried about? Like stop being so scared and come out and live life and get to know people. The whole idea of retreating and being skeptical of everyone around you is not healthy. And to me, it's important that we really, start encouraging people to just come on out. Even if you don't like one or two people, there's people you do like. That's the one thing about this. If you look at the list, you can't say they're all shills, Well, this person, but these people are pretty cool. Okay, well, then come out and watch them, But also, I say this to everyone, we don't all have to be friends. We can disagree with one another, but we can come out looking at the big picture. And that's what I'm looking for, is people that really see the big picture of this. And it's important that we do have, that unity in there, and definitely with the community. But the whole illusion that we all have to be best friends, no, we don't. We don't. But we all have a job to do. We all have a job, like a role to play. Let's do it. Because again, if it's not us, it's going to be someone else. But all these naysayers and all these people that are trying to fight it, over time, this is going to be, quieted down. It's just really amplified right now. But like I say this all the time, when we look back on this 5 to 10 years, we'll remember the beginning days, the glory days, 2015, 2016, 2017. And you and I can talk about this, Rob. But again, you remember what it was like in 2015, right? And then 2016 and then 2017. But each one are going to have different phases of this. And we need to say, okay, God, if we're in this, and you've called us out to this, there's no doubt that that's a fact for you and I. Have you called us out for a couple of years? Are we in this for a decade or two? And if we're called into this for the next 2 decades, well, we have a lot to see yet. We have to sit back and just be patient. We have to sit and say, God, what are you going to do? What do you want me to do in this? But the idea of us retreating or getting personal or start getting emotional, I think is very unhealthy. I think we need to kind of stay focused. And, there's no doubt as far as biblical flat earthers, you're it, Rob. As far as it's concerned, you're basically the key person that God's called for whatever reason. I don't know. Same reason. I don't know why God has called me to do what I'm doing, to even lead an international flat earth conference. I have no clue. But the reality is, if you look around, you're it. So the question is, you have all these things to talk about. But do you stay focused on what you've been called to right now for this time? Or do you talk about everything? The more you talk about, the more trouble you're probably going to get in. All of us are, I say this to people all the time when it comes to, Holocaust deniers. I say, fine, even if you don't agree with the Holocaust, why would you even bring that up? Because again, it diminishes, your message. I mean, you're fine to believe in these things, but sometimes you have to sit there and say, okay, for the next few years of my life, I'm going to focus because this is where I'm being called to. For you as well, you've been called to like seed and stuff, and you've made that really clear that you want to, you want to spend more time on that. And that's what's important too. So if you feel that you're being called to that, then you really focus on that. And I know you're going to be bringing, enclosed cosmology into that element, which is cool. And maybe that's the reason why that got delayed or you got focused somewhere else, is because you need to learn the enclosed cosmology, because that needs to be brought into your project, right?
Oh,
so
for
it's
sure.
almost like, so there's this shift taking place now where you're kind of moving that direction. But what I say is, wherever you're being called, then look at it like, that's kind of your calling for that next while. Focus on that, not on so many things before. Like I've talked to other pastors and other people, and I say, look, if you're being called to a certain area, you can talk about all these other doctrines, but there's lots of people talking about those doctrines, right? Why? Why bother with those doctrines for a while? There's enough people covering all that stuff. So focus on what you're to be focused on. That's all I say as a recommendation to people. Is I say, maybe God's shifting you a little bit differently right now and saying, look, I want you to kind of fine tune it and stay focused in this one area rather than be all things to, all doctrines. Because I know we all have our opinions on all sorts of things. But I just know that if you and I sat down and we talked long enough, we'll find out how much we disagree with, not how much we agree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we kind of stay focused with what we're agreed on and we look at the big picture, it's fine. You and I can have disagreements. I can have disagreements with all sorts of people in this community, but I look at it and say, it's not really important in the big aspect here. What's really important is that there's a lost world out there. They're completely being hoodwinked by scientism. They're completely, losing their complete way. And we have the answers. We can give them the light. We can give them the good news. And to me, that is the most important. So rather than, fight and do all this kind of stuff, we need to kind of come together and say, hey, man, let's do this job together. Regardless if we got differences. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Doesn't matter, though. This is what matters. And we all agree on that. And that's what's really cool with the conference. All these people that are up there all agree. This is incredibly important that we're going to get up there and we're going to be represented there to speak this truth regardless. And I mean, there's other people we could talk to even outside of, the biblical, we could talk about like Jaron, or we could talk about Bob Nodell or whatever. And again, we can all have our disagreements, or when it comes to the Bible, or it comes to who the Messiah is or who the creator is. But at this point in the game, we all agree that there is a creator, that we are unique, and that scientism has been a complete satanic lie. So we're all on this quest to find the truth. But for you and I, Rob, we can kind of be in that place and say, hey, you have any questions, you can talk to us. But at least we're all moving that direction, and we're helping people to kind of get out of that matrix, get out of the lies of the world. Because I had a private screening, and we're going to talk more about Scientism Exposed too. But I had a private screening the other day, and I did a meetup in my city for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I met up with a few people there, and it's going to grow exponentially very quick when I get back. But I'm talking to two guys. One guy, atheist, 48 years of his life. Now, I'm talking staunch. I'm talking Dawkins atheist. Out there to destroy Christians. Kind of like Saul, of Tarsus, kind of,
Yeah.
And instantly, in a split second, that guy completely became a creationist. He completely believed in God. Now, he's getting closer and closer. He's starting to read the Bible. He's asking questions. He's taking his time. He's a little bit, I don't know about that Bible. I'm like, that's cool. Just ask questions. He's asking me questions. He's asking other people questions. Talking to another guy, atheist his whole life, in a split second. And these guys are opening up the Bible. They're asking questions. They're looking at films like Scientism Exposed 2, and they're going, you know what? That's making sense. There's nothing else in my world that makes sense. And I'm seeing all the dots come together in a spiritual way. It's pointing to, God of the Bible being the true creator. So I'm saying this is what's really cool, is there are all these people everywhere waking up, and instantly they're turning to the Bible. I'm telling you, if we're being called to be on the forefront of this, to be on the front lines of this, it is worth it, because we've never seen an awakening like we've ever seen when it comes to any topic such as enclosed cosmology.
Yeah, right on. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm polishing up my presentation. And like you said, the focus issue, boy, my focus has been all over the place. And somebody, a friend of mine who's actually a motivational coach, kind of like a Tony Robbins kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And we went out to dinner a couple weeks ago. And he says, Rob, you've accomplished a lot in the last few years. I've been following your work. I see what you've done, but you've been 100% distracted. And I said, yeah, that's for sure. He says, look, if you were able to do that much while being 100% distracted, just imagine what you could do if you were 100% focused. And I said, you know what? You're right, dude. And really, this conference is coming up is the last thing on my plate that's different from seed. After this, seed. Boom, 100%. And when it came to this conference, there were a lot of things I wanted to talk about. I actually started working on a whole bunch of NASA videos and lots of things. And then I'm looking at everybody else that's going to be there, and I'm going, you know what? Everybody's going to bring their A game, and there's a bunch of other people that are going to be talking about NASA and other stuff. I will bring some stuff up because it's pertinent, but I am definitely going to zero in on the biblical thing. And for some people, it's going to be a repeat. They've seen me do it at other conferences and stuff like that. But, there'll be a whole lot of other people that they've never heard it. This would be the first time hearing it. And so, I'm confident that I'm bringing what I'm supposed to be bringing. So I'm excited. But my whole thing is, okay, I got an hour and a half. Dude. I got an hour and a half. It's like,
You're the only guy that actually wants more. Everyone else is like, oh, that's a long time. But yeah, you're like, oh, man, I only have an hour and a half.
I'm like, that's it. I got to rein it in, man. I'm deleting slides and yeah, but it's all right. It's going to be good. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Again, for everybody that's listening, if this is the first time hearing about this, we're talking about the Flat Earth International Conference. It's going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, November 9th and 10th. The website is fe2017.com. It's a sold-out event. However, there's still opportunity for people to get in on the streaming action, though, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You can just sign up for the live stream, and it includes both days, the film premiere of Scientism Exposed 2 and the Flat Earth Video Awards show that we'll be doing on Friday evening. So we've got evening entertainment as well as all of the sessions for the 2 days. I think it's on for $27.
Yeah, right on. Good deal. So is there plans on making this into DVDs afterwards? Is it being recorded or is it just the live stream?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, definitely planning on putting something together so that obviously we'll have like the live stream, but then we'll have all the additional footage of like people hanging out, all the additional stuff that happens in the evening. So again, there'll be a lot of extra kind of footage that will be included into kind of that special edition. And I want to put something together more as a, memento, something that people can take away as the first annual Flat Earth International Conference. And again, I'm already kind of putting things together for, FEIC 18, and that will be announced really soon. But again, to me, this is kind of the kickstart. This is the beginning of something that is going to grow. It's going to continue to do what it does and, to be part of it and to represent it, I think will be really important. And having something, to remember, in history, I think it will be really important. So yeah, I will be putting together kind of like a DVD, and that will be available on the website. We'll probably ship it out, 8 to 10 weeks after the conference, because we'll probably compile all the additional stuff like different little interviews and different things, that we'll put in there, to have that people will remember, being there and that type of thing. But yeah, we've got some surprises planned as well as far as what we're doing at the conference. And like I said, it's going to be an exciting time. We've got a lot of great people. I mean, Globebusters Live. I mean, Jaron Campanella and Bob Nodell and John Christopoulos. I mean, they have never even met in person. I mean, Jaron and Bob, I've been friends, really super close friends for, over 2 years. And I mean, even their story going back, and it's going to be really exciting for them, even just to meet for the first time. So I know that it's even exciting for the content creators, but even just for the community to come out, meet other people that they've been talking to online. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, just even the way that the venue's set up, the hotel, it's just going to be one great, exciting community. And there's going to be stuff going on all the time. So definitely counting down the days, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I would even say for you, as far as a lot of conferences you do, I think this one's going to have a different take, something different that you've never been to. I know you've been to a lot of different type of conferences, but I think this one will be a lot different in a way that will be a lot more rewarding and exciting and even less stressful than, maybe some other conferences where you kind of worry about your presentation and all this. I think this is just going to have a different feel to it. But also, like I said, there's a lot, because there's a lot of media and there's a lot of eyeballs watching. But again, I tell people all the time, we just have to be ourselves, speak from the heart, and stay true to our convictions. Those are the three things that I keep enforcing with everyone, and say, hey, just be yourself, speak from the heart and stay true to your convictions. That's it. No one's asking anything other than that. And I think everyone's going to do a phenomenal job, and everyone, is bringing their A game, because that's what they've been doing continuously, since 2015, all of them. And I've seen them, and they've all seen the big picture. They've all looked at it and said, this is bigger than just personalities. This is bigger than just YouTube channels. This is big. And, to be part of it, I think is exciting. And hopefully, as we continue on, we'll definitely really develop a really strong bond, and we'll see something, at least once a year that we can at least gather, and we can kind of see what happens from year to year. Because I definitely think that we're into, like, as we look back on 2015, 2016, 2017, we're definitely going to have different things to look at with these years. And I think after 2017, things are going to change for the better, not for the worse.
Yeah, very exciting. All right. Well, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit, and even though it's all related, and talk about your new DVD, Scientism Exposed 2. Maybe just give a quick review of what part 1 was, and then segue into why you decided to do a part 2 and what part 2 is about.
Sure. Well, yeah, Scientism Exposed, I came out with November of 2016. And really, I'd put out, a few documentaries. This was kind of my first major work that I put on DVD that, had interviews done. And I was just kind of moving that direction. But for me, Scientism Exposed was coming out with this topic in a non-threatening manner. It was coming out in a way that you could share this. It was going to be used as a tool. So for people who are like, how do I talk to people about this topic? It was to get something into a person's hands so that they would just start questioning certain things, whether it was what NASA was telling them, what it was, what science was telling them when it came to evolution, or that we evolved from apes, or whatever it was. There'd be at least one thing. They'd be like, that's weird. That's strange. I want to go look that up. And they would go on, they would start searching, and they would start their own journey. So what it was created for was that it would just start someone on their journey looking for the truth in all things. And, wherever it led them, that wasn't up for me to decide. But the film was put together so that they would start to seriously question what they had been taught, whether it was, since grade school, college, high school, whatever, or in life in general, they would question it. And again, scientism, it was important to basically show the distinction between science and scientism, and saying, look, science is cool. Everything's fine with empirical science. We're not against science, but scientism, that's a whole other mess, getting into the agenda, the deception, getting into the religious aspect of it. And most of the origin stories, most of, what science has become, has fallen under the umbrella of scientism. So would it be interesting for most people to realize that if they were holding on to something their whole life because they believed it was scientifically empirical, it was something under the scientific experimentation, this is why we hold on to this so tightly, is because it's been proved to be true. What if it wasn't under science? What if it was under a religion? Most of the people that actually got so hardcore into science and became staunch atheists or whatever, fighting religion, is because they hated religion. Well, wouldn't it surprise you if what you were following was just one big religion itself? Wouldn't it make you mad? Wouldn't it make you irate, right? Wouldn't you want to search for why they'd lie to you in the first place? I thought they were supposed to be against religion. So it was really about this. And really where, I was praying a lot about this, it was under basically the enclosed cosmology. It was under the fact that, wow, we have been lied to about the very existence, what we're standing on right now, what we're seeing when we look up in the sky. This entire thing is a lie. Well, that is huge. Okay, that's huge even for you and me, Rob. It's hard for us to get our head around that. How is it going to be for the general public? I mean, we're talking about their brains will just explode, right? So it had to be in a way that was kind of progressive. It was almost in the sense that this is going to take you on a journey. Now, if you've watched one and you're like, I'm intrigued, I'm already starting to search this NASA. What about this moon landing? I'm ready for 2. 2 goes a lot deeper. It starts getting into connecting the dots, showing why they would lie. It starts getting into more of the reality of the Earth. It gets into these things. Again, it does it in such a way that's not right in front of your face, just saying the Earth is flat, it's not a globe, it's not. It just starts questioning these things. By the third one, it will actually there. And you had asked, why did I come up with a second? Well, there's so much information. I could have probably done a 10-part series, right? But I decided to just do 3 parts. And by the third part, if you've gone along that long, then you're ready for it. And again, everything will kind of be, put out there in a way that, it was presented from the beginning. But Scientism Exposed 2, like I said, was just, I wanted to make sure that I basically upped everything. People, the outpouring, to this day, on the IMDb, Internet Movie Database, Scientism Exposed, the original, still has over a 9 out of 10 rating. Over 300 ratings on IMDb. It's done incredibly well. The outpouring, the emails I receive, it's been phenomenal. So I wanted to make sure that I even stepped it up a notch in production and just everything I did. So with this one, I got on a plane. I met with you. I met with other great people like Dr. Aaron Judkins, Joe Taylor, other areas of science. It wasn't just cosmology. I talked to real scientists like paleontologists and archaeologists, but then everyday just regular people, like people that are going to be watching the DVD. And it was okay to ask these questions, start looking into these things just like we have. So to me, it was important to put that all together in a way to show some serious credibility, but to show other areas of science as well. Like I did in the first one, I started kind of with evolution. I moved up to cosmology. Well, Scientism Exposed 2 is kind of done the same way, but it goes a lot deeper. And I will say for anyone that's listening, when I was able to sit down and meet with, you, Rob, and we were able to do that interview that night, you brought your A game and then some. It is phenomenal. I did my private screening, and most people were talking about how you brought everything into perspective in the film, and you do a phenomenal job. And just the story arc, the way I wanted to kind of have it in there, it worked out so perfectly. And I think that many people are really going to be drawn to look into the Bible, to look into how things are presented, but also to look at the end game, like look at how the pieces are put together and kind of where scientism is pushing us. Because there's one thing when we're exposed to the lies and we're like, okay, I'm convinced. Yep, they're lying. But why? And you hear all these excuses. People ask this all the time. Oh, it's money, or oh, they don't want to. But when you find out the spiritual significance behind it, when you find out that, this is big, and it's not just, to keep things from us, to suppress it, but also to prepare us. What are they preparing us for? And that is what Scientism Exposed 2 really gets into. And I think it's very elegantly put together, and you do a phenomenal job. You've got a key part, where you really transition the entire film into, okay, now we're really going to start hitting into it. So for people that are following along, once they get there, they start looking at it and going, wait a minute, that's making sense. And not only is it making sense, but science is validating it and they're supporting it. So when you start to see scientism coming in and actually pushing us that direction, then it makes the Bible come to life even more so. And it's not just a silly conspiracy theory. It's not just a doctrinal view based on an interpretation in the Bible. It is the world course. It is what we see with Hollywood. It is what we see with scientism. It's what we see in every avenue, even with education. They're all moving in this one direction. So if the Bible, you're interpreting the Bible to support this, and yet the whole world, the evidence you're seeing with the direction where the world is being pushed, then that's probably a really good interpretation of the Bible, right? As far as where things are heading. And that's exactly, how it's portrayed, especially when we see scientism validating it and giving it more, veracity when it comes to the origins, when it comes to the missing link. And what I find fascinating is, I thought for so long, why don't they just go out there and do a real big number and really fake the missing link? Let's all get together. Let's put stuff together and we'll make it so conclusive. We'll fake the missing links and we'll put it together and nobody will even know. I mean, how would most of us know? They could make announcements all over the media where they found the missing link, blah, 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 blah. The reality is this. It's not time. The missing links have not been found because they will be found at the right time. And exactly this is what is all playing into it. And exactly, what Scientism Exposed 2 starts bringing in the alien agenda as being, the ones that seeded us at some other point and stuff. But again, the same reason why people have seen UFOs and they've seen this, but how come contact hasn't been made? Why don't they even lie about that? Why doesn't NASA come out tomorrow and just lie? We would never know anyways. They could have a little bleep thing, blip, blip, blip. Oh, that's an alien. It's talking to us. What's he saying? They're coming here. Oh, they're coming here in 2025. They could have this all planned. But the fact is they're not even faking it or lying to us about it because it's not time. So that's the interesting part is everything has to be aligned. Everything has to be ready. And then boom, contact, missing link, all of the answers, all these missing gaping holes, everything gets solved for humanity. Not to mention they come with miraculous signs and wonders, right? Mm-hmm. They cure cancer and they cure climate change or whatever. They do amazing things. But like, you say in the film, it's just like, but we've got a little problem. We'd love you to help us out with it, And again, this is the interesting thing. And again, what other way, we're prepared with media as far as, all these helpers, the watchers, they've been watching us and they're coming to help us. They're all benevolent, like, Transformers, you got the Autobots, we're here to defend you against those bad Decepticons, you got all the superhero movies. You see this time and time again. But what I'm saying is there's no greater way to unite all of humanity against one common force is to convince humanity that there's a hostile alien life force coming to assimilate you or to destroy you or, to do some damage. But don't worry, we're here. We're going to help you fight that war. And again, I think it's spelled out very clear in the Bible that the whole world will gather to make war with God when they see him coming. And I think that is exactly where scientism, I think that's where the media, I think that's where we're all going to be prepared to, is to understand God in a technological scientism worldview. And that's where our hostility will be directed at.
Wow, man, that's exciting. Well, I'm glad the interview worked out. I think I was pretty tired. It was right at the end of our conference,
It's phenomenal. No, it's phenomenal. And again, I know you were super tired, and I totally appreciated that night. Like, I felt really bad too. I was like, oh man, like I know you're going to be driving after this, but I so appreciate it, because when you see it, and it's going to be exciting to actually have you see it with everyone else at the same time. Just to be able to be there with 550 people watching the premiere, it's going to be incredibly exciting for me. But yeah, wow. I think that it's going to be amazing. And all the people that are live streaming it, I think that people are going to be blown away. And again, you just did an absolute phenomenal job. I mean, everyone really came together, and did a phenomenal job. But like I would say for sure, Rob, how you really went into certain areas, and some people would be like, wow, like he's a really big presence in it. And you had to be, especially when I start moving into cosmology, because you have, Dr. Aaron Judkins, and, we were, doing a lot of stuff when it comes to archaeology and paleontology, and Joe Taylor. But as we move into cosmology and we start getting into the great deception and the big delusion, all this, again, all of the research that you've done, when it comes to the Nephilim and the Watchers and everything like this, again, all of that research, what I find fascinating is you were already prepped for all that research even before you came to enclosed cosmology. So what I think is so profound about your research and who you are in your investigation and your role to play in this is you have so much more understanding of where scientism, why they would lie.
All right. Well, we'll talk some more when we come back from the break. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I am your host, Rob Skiba, for the second hour of the broadcast. I'm talking with my guest, Robbie Davidson. And right before the break, we were talking about perhaps the overall big picture agenda for why the Great Deception, scientism, and all that good stuff, which is going to be a central theme, it sounds like, in the new documentary film Exposing Scientism Part 2. Or is it Scientism Exposed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Part 2. So, yeah, man, just hearing you talk about it, I'm excited to see it. It's going to be pretty electric, I think, at the conference. That should be really exciting. Now, you had never, did you even know who Aaron Judkins was, or Joe Taylor, or any of those guys before meeting them?
I mean, I did research before getting into like the giants and the Nephilim and stuff like that, well before Flat Earth. So I was familiar with just researchers out there, even such as yourself, but I didn't really know them personally. I just knew them, as far as people out there. But I mean, big shout out to Rob Baxter for, really setting me up in a very, very quick hurry with these guys. Because again, we were talking one night and he's like, dude, I'm going to get you all set up. And I think those interviews were set up and arrangements were made within a week's time. And I mean, both Aaron and Joe were awesome. I mean, getting a hold of them and then coming out to Texas and being able to tour Mount Blanco Fossil Museum, spending time, with Joe Taylor at all the work he's done in covering, hiding the giants, looking at hiding the evidence of a worldwide flood, and then also, going from complexity in the sense that things were complex and going more simple rather than the evolution narrative where everything was simple and then we got more complex. So again, he spent a lot of time exposing the lies of scientism. And to me, it was important to bring other people into the project that not necessarily maybe believed in a closed cosmology, but they were open, they were intrigued. And what's really exciting is Joe Taylor, even though he doesn't believe in enclosed cosmology at present, he's actually coming to the conference because he wants to come and learn more about the topic. And he's also going to be on a panel that we're all going to be on. I'm going to be moderating it for all the people that were in the film. And we're going to be talking about different areas about scientism in general. And we're going to go into like evolution and cosmology and other areas. So it will be good to hear from Joe at that point after he's taken in most of the conference, because it's near the end, is see where he's at. Just from someone that's kind of an outsider view, but he's very intrigued. He's open. And we had a really good talk. Both Aaron and Joe, when off camera, we discussed it, and they were both very open. That's why I think I had mentioned to you one time that you should at some point, maybe spend a little time even with Aaron, because he was at a point where he's like ready to give you a good solid, hour or two, just explain, because, he has a lot of respect for you. And I said, it's worth your time, Aaron. I know you're a busy dude, right? But maybe spend that time, and because, this is pretty major. So both of those guys being involved in the project have got a lot more open to seeing how far this deception goes. So it's going to be really exciting for me to have Joe Taylor there, and he'll be able to talk a lot about, what he's, done and the work he's, involved, and just even the respect he has for you. I think it's going to be phenomenal to see you two, up there talking together.
Yeah, I love both of those guys. They're both super cool, and I've had some off and on discussions with Joe because I've done several of the Sons of God Nephilim conferences out in Lubbock, Texas, and he's usually one of the speakers there, along with myself and Dr. Judd Burton and others. And so we've had some interesting table discussions, after conferences and whatnot. So, he is skeptical, but he is open. He's a very open guy, actually. Joe is, and you actually got to go to his museum too, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah, and you're going to see that in the film. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time, and we shoot quite a bit of stuff, and took on the tour. We had just an awesome, and again, I think he's going to bring an element into Scientism Exposed that many people in even the Flat Earth community have not even seen yet. And I thought that was important as well for people that are already really excited about, Scientism Exposed and my work, and especially when it comes to enclosed cosmology. I think they need to start seeing other areas. And to me, not just with Joe, but even with Aaron, a lot of stuff has been going around that dinosaurs never even existed. That's all a lie, and some of it's true, some of it's not. And to me, to be there and to see exactly how excavation's done, to see exactly, where the human and dinosaur footprints were found, to be able to walk there, to see them for myself, and to see exactly, that stuff like this can't be faked, because again, you've got to go through incredibly strong, limestone, like when you're getting into all of these elements, and then seeing how they bring it out, they bring people out to do it. And, that the reality of just being able to walk exactly where these great finds that scientism, have totally dismissed, try to hide, whether it's the giants, whether it's even the fact of finding, dinosaur tracks with human footprints. Well, yeah, those are human footprints, but yeah, it's too controversial for us because, that would make, saying that dinosaurs, existed a lot earlier than what we're saying. So we can't, publish that, So there is that agenda, and you see it constantly in all these areas of scientism. And again, these guys are seeing it in the biological, archaeology and paleontology. And, when we have these discussions and when they start seeing how, wait a minute, this is an agenda. So, and again, talking with Aaron, he was like, a lot of the stuff you're seeing, where does that come from? Well, it comes from the Big Bang cosmology, right? And even he can recognize that. And he recognizes as theoretical, this is not really even true science. It's not empirical. And he talks about empirical science, and he talks as a scientist, and he brings out great things such as papers that were brought up with, the tissue and the blood cells that were found. And there's a lot of great material in Scientism Exposed too. I want to make sure that there's a lot of information, but also it moved along, and it really got into the core that I'm passionate about, obviously, when it comes to cosmology. But I cannot dismiss the fact that a lot of people have been doing some great stuff exposing the lies. But again, they started kind of, at an area where they didn't go right back to the root. And I think you and I and others are starting to direct people going, let's go back a bit further, right? Where does this start, though? In order to even get dinosaurs existing, where did they come from? Well, they came from this Big Bang that exploded, right? Well, what if the Big Bang's a lie, right? Why are we attaching the creator to a Big Bang when the entire Big Bang cosmology is wrong? What if, that completely contradicts the Bible? And when you point these things out, day 4, that the sun, moon, and stars were created, the earth was already there. Well, that completely destroys Big Bang cosmology right there, that one verse. That's it, right? So that has to stop, people have to stop and go, wait a minute. Then maybe I need to look into this a little bit more, because what if my entire perception of cosmology is wrong? Most people believe it's not that important. What they think is important is the things they can touch and they can experiment on and stuff like this. But again, it's all important. And I think a lot more people are waking up to the realization that really everything that we see in the sky that we're taught is important, because not only is it just lies, but also it's leading us and it's programming us to accept what they're preparing us for, understanding it with a scientism worldview. That's why this topic is so important.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how some of these other guys perceive, especially like Joe. If he's going to sit through the whole conference and hear and see everything, he's going to have a lot to think about.
I know, and I don't mind. I don't mind him talking, because even like, to me, it's important to have someone at least real. Now, he was in the film, so it's not like I'm just grabbing some globe person on stage. It will be an opportunity to be like, well, what's some areas where you think there's some real validity to it? And having the conversations with Joe, I know that he's going to be very favorable going, you brought up a good point there, and he might even sit there and say, hey, when I was watching, Jared's presentation, he brought up a really good point, I've been looking into it myself. And even when we were talking, there were areas. So while maybe, and most times these people have been busy in their own pursuits, in their own kind of fields, that they just haven't had time. And even Aaron said, I'm super busy. And I go, I totally understand. But once they something comes along and they're saying, dude, it's worth your time. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, okay, I want to take that time. What do you recommend? And I said to Aaron, I said, talk to Rob. If you guys are close, just spend an hour. Just give him 1 hour to kind of, give him your undivided attention. And sometimes that's all it is, Rob. It's just if you know someone that has respect, they respect you, but they're just busy. But if they'll give you, their attention, they'll give you full attention, then you're at a point where you can really talk to them and put it all together. So I definitely think that Aaron's he's going to be watching the live stream. Unfortunately, he's not coming to the conference, but he's definitely going to be watching it live. He's excited. He knows the content. He's excited to kind of see, where it all goes. And he even wants to support it. He wants to buy a bunch of DVDs and start, getting them out because he understands the ministry. He understands, the importance of, bringing up the lies of scientism. And he did a phenomenal job. Like he did an incredible job as everyone did in the film. And like I said, I think it's going to go to a whole new level. And I think so many more new people are going to come to this topic. Just with the series Scientism Exposed, but especially with the second one, because like I said, me getting on a plane, meeting different people and people following me on this journey, it takes it to a whole new level. It's not just static where you're watching a documentary. Now you're following me while I'm narrating and meeting amazing people to, let them know exactly that there's a lot of people starting to ask questions, and it's okay to ask questions. We're all seeking the truth together.
Yeah. Did you talk about people following you around? You had a camera guy that was there for the Austin conference. Did he follow you to these other ones, or did you have somebody else following you?
Yeah.
So
same guy? It was him. Yeah, it was the same guy. And like I said, at the beginning when I was getting set up with a camera guy, it just so happened that when we met for the first time about 3 weeks before, we started to travel, it turned out he'd already been following my work, your work. He was already basically 100% believer when it came to enclosed cosmology. So for me, it was really exciting to have someone that I never even knew. I mean, he was just set up through another person. And it was really exciting. So we had a lot of great discussions. And what was really fascinating is when we flew into Atlanta, and we were actually going to be going to Alabama to meet up with Pastor Dean or whatever. We were in Atlanta, and I threw out it was a Facebook message I said, anyone in Atlanta want to meet up? We had a few hours to kill. Anyways, I didn't hear anything, so we started heading towards Alabama. Well, then all of a sudden someone posted, they said, isn't Zen Garcia in Atlanta? And I'm like, yeah. Zen. So I call up Zen. We already got into our hotel in Alabama. Okay, so we're like, an hour and a half outside of, Atlanta by this time, 2 hours or whatever it was. We're in our hotel, and I call him up. I'm like, Zen, hey, I'm like, where are you at? Right? He's like, oh, I'm right here. So we Google it real quick. I'm like, oh, so you're on the other side of Atlanta. So we look at it. We're like, oh, it's about 3 hours. So we're at the hotel at about 4. And we had to wake up the next morning to go to the church to shoot there and stuff the next morning. So we're like, I go to Justin, the camera guy. I go, you want to go? He's like, well, we're not doing much tonight. Let's do it. So we hop in the car. We go 3 hours through Atlanta all the way to Zen's. Right? We sit down with Zen at his place, got all this stuff, and we drove back. We got to the hotel, I think, about 2:30 a.m. in the morning because I think we left Zen's about midnight. But that was all completely spontaneous. But it wasn't spontaneous. It was all completely orchestrated. And just how it was so perfect. He was free. He got a hold of me just at the perfect time. I mean, everything came together perfect. And to me, it was It was amazing to get Zen. I just didn't even think about it. I'm like, wait, he is kind of close to Atlanta. He was at that he was at that debate, so he must be somewhere close. And he's not in Atlanta. He's quite far outside Atlanta, but it worked out. We still said, hey, we're from Canada. We love driving. 3 hours, easy for us. Let's jump in the car. So we went on this adventure, and we were able to get Zen, and Zen brought a lot of incredible things as well to the project. And I thought he did an incredible job eloquently explaining it, the deception, and I think you're even all the footage back, and I did pretty much the majority of all the editing. I mean, I have hours and hours, 15, 20 hours of footage, and so you're looking through it, right? But you're kind of going, wow. And when I started breaking it down, I'm like, wow, Rob, Zen, them, all perfectly complementing one another. Like they're saying same thing, but they're not saying the same thing. They're complementing it, So it's like it came together real nice. So I think you're going to be really, pleasantly surprised how, it all came together. And just even telling, how all of this stuff weaves together and then coming to the conclusion. And I mean, it has a powerful conclusion. I had my private screening, had about 14 people at my place. And there were a couple people that even broke down at the end. And I was like, whoa, when I'm watching this, at a distance, I'm like, whoa, So it has an incredible, powerful ending. I think that it's, I'm very excited. I'm very, happy with how it turned out. And for me, I'm always trying to up my, professionality and do better at what I do. And like I said, I think that I did incredibly well with Scientism Exposed too, and I'm excited for everyone to see it.
Yeah, that's always fun when you can look at a whole bunch of different interviews, and it's like when I was doing missionary videos, a lot of times I would ask the exact same questions to everybody, and so everybody's going to give their own flavor, their own take on whatever that answer is. But when you're able to just almost finish another guy's sentence with, what the next person says, it just, that's a lot of fun to edit something like that. So it sounds like it's
a real labor. Yeah, it's a real labor of love. I mean, it was hours and hours. And I mean,
sure,
I had like really strict deadlines when I came back. But I mean, it is really enjoyable for me seeing it come together because I already have it kind of in my head, right? And you kind of have this envision, but as you're kind of editing, you start, it starts taking on a shape of its own. But it's really for me, it's kind of my hobby. It's my outlet. Some people like to watch sports or they like to watch TV or whatever. For me, it's kind of like my downtime, but it's more than my downtime. It's like my joy. It's like I love pouring myself into it, and it's kind of like my baby in the sense that I'm watching this thing unfold and putting it together, and then every element of it, the graphics, the sound, and that coming from a filmmaking standpoint, you can kind of respect and totally understand what I'm saying. But to me, like I said, having this come out a year right after the first one, and to be able to follow through, especially the fact to be able to meet you finally in person and many other people that I'd never met before, it took on a whole new element, and it's exciting for me to be able to reveal this and for people to see you and others in a way they've never really seen, but in a way that I believe will really capture their imaginations, but also convict them and show them that this topic is incredibly important, and yet the pieces are all coming together, and this really truly makes the most sense, that the true creator has to be, the creator, the one that basically, the Bible, all these sort of elements, because I know there's a lot of people that are on the fence, they're skeptical about the Bible, they're this or that. But again, I think this presents it in such a way as like, well, wait a minute, give me your scenario that makes more sense. Because when you start putting all the pieces together, you're like, wait a minute, you can disagree, but then show me your, give me your proof, show me your, history, show me your archaeology, show me your, and again, that's the one thing I'm finding is a lot of people have all these beliefs, but they have nothing to back it up. And as truthers, as ones that are all looking for evidence, that's the beautiful thing about the Bible. The Bible supports it through all the evidence we see, through all these good scientists that are out there that are actually taking the real tangible evidence and saying, this points to, the God of the Bible, this points to, six-day creation, this points to a worldwide flood, this points to, so everything is pointing back, because the Bible has been true throughout time. It always, always, always will remain true, even when people try to fight it, destroy it, ridicule it. Just like the Hittite people, people laughed at that forever. They said there's no such thing, and then all of a sudden they found the whole Hittite ruins, Mm-hmm. So for years and years, and again, the Dead Sea Scrolls were another huge find, when they started comparing pretty much all Isaiah, compared to the scrolls, and they were like word for word. So this idea that, the Bible's been changed and it's all tainted and it's, we can't trust it. It's like, we can trust it, because when you find one of the oldest manuscripts and it's word for word pretty much, I mean, that's the whole thing. And hopefully this, film will point people to really seriously look to the Bible, give it the time. And that's my big thing. It's worth the time. Don't just dismiss it because you saw a video on the internet or someone told you it's been changed. Take the time, because if it truly is true, it will change your life.
Yeah, that's exciting. So are you going to do a release on YouTube also, or just straight to DVD?
No. Yeah, so it will be on DVD and digital download for this one. So we're doing the premiere at the conference, but the actual DVD and digital download, basically the release will happen November 20th. So everyone kind of gets it sooner, at the conference, but it will release for everyone on November 20th. But this one will not be available on YouTube. It will be on DVD, digital download, other mechanisms like that. But this one will not be on YouTube.
Okay, gotcha. And you're going to probably take a little bit of a break to recuperate after the conference. What are your plans for part 3?
Well, part 3, like obviously I'm definitely on track, and I'll be looking forward to that. And I would say that I'll start kind of getting all that stuff together probably by March, April. I'll start even thinking about that. I usually work under pretty tight deadlines and strict schedules, but I don't usually start working on those projects until usually maybe end of spring kind of thing. That's kind of when I usually start putting stuff together. But I mean, I'll be active on YouTube, and I'll be doing interviews, and there'll be stuff going on. Not to mention that I'm already putting all the stuff in place for Flat Earth International Conference 2018. So, and I'll be releasing that, very soon as well, too, the announcement on that. So, I mean, this is not a one-off event. This is the first annual, So some people, have the idea that, oh, this is just a kind of a one-off. And no, this is the start of something really beautiful. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. And I'm just really excited that I've got so many people around me that are supportive and helping me and bringing their skills to the table to make it what it is. So, I mean, I couldn't do it without them, and it's going to be incredible. I'm really looking forward to it on many fronts, and I think it's going to be so positive and encouraging for so many people in the community. And I know that a lot of people, including myself, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So again, I've been super busy because obviously planning a conference to this magnitude, but also releasing, a documentary film to what I've done. So I've been super busy. But like I said, I just got everything off to, production for the DVDs and stuff like 2 days ago. Literally, it was at 9 a.m. in the morning, the day that I did the private screening that night. So I'm pretty much getting everything right to the last minute. And that's kind of where I work best, is making sure that I've worked really good under stress, a lot of pressure, that type of thing. I've always been able to excel that way. But, I like to keep busy. But, yeah, I've been really busy this year, more so than even last year when all I was doing was really releasing one big project. This, I've got 2 monster projects that I've released. But the good news is one is completely done and ready to go. I'm excited to launch that. And now I'm just getting all of the last minute things ready for the conference that, I've said it many times, that literally will be history in the making. It's never happened before, and it will be part of history.
Yeah, I think that's probably characteristic of most artists, is you got to give an artist a deadline,
Yeah.
And I would say that extends into the video arts as well, certainly video production. So I'm the same way, man. It's like, if I don't have a deadline, things can just get drug on forever. But if I do, and I'm under the gun and I'm under pressure, okay, yeah.
Here's a good rule of thumb. I don't know, maybe I'll give you this recommendation. It works great for me. Throw in a teaser trailer and throw a date to it. The minute you do that, you're kind of stuck.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. I did that for the Global Eye. I don't know if you remember way back to the Global Eye, but I threw it out. I hadn't even started on it, okay? I just threw a trailer because I knew I was going to do it. I just threw it out. And I'll tell you the truth, Scientism Exposed was the same thing. I had it in my head. I hadn't even started on it, but I threw out that trailer. But the one thing I can say is once I put a date out for people, I always follow through. I'm bound by that. And I mean, I'm not saying that some emergency couldn't happen because I'm sorry it's delayed for 2 weeks. But what I'm saying is, for you and I and people that have that type of brain, we work good when we have a deadline. And when you put it out to the public that you're going to release a product, you're going to do something, right? You follow through because that's your reputation. That's who you are. And I know that there's always excuses, and sometimes there's good excuses. But overall, if we can do it, then it keeps us accountable. And I'm saying you, me, other people like that, we need accountability, especially when we're in the arts, because we'll procrastinate. I just want to keep working on it, right? I'll make it better. I'll put that out next year. I'll put that out next year. But if you throw out a trailer and you give yourself a comfortable amount of time, don't be too crazy. Don't put a teaser out and say it's coming out in 2 months. Put a teaser out and say it's coming out by November. If it's January, put out your teaser in January. That gives you the whole year. You have no excuses, right? If it's something you can do. But to me, it's helped out really well because once I put out a teaser, I say something's happening, then I follow through.
Yeah, that's some good advice right there. Speaking of making films, I heard that you had also got a chance to, while you were out there, meet with Jared Cressman also, who just completed a film called Detestable with Tom Dunn. How did that go?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, Jared was absolutely phenomenal. Again, he was really he helped a lot with Joe Taylor, just making sure that things were kind of set on schedule and stuff like that. Because Joe's schedule was pretty busy, so he was kind of assisting and helping. And he was there. He came on board. We interviewed him, and like honestly, I was really blown away with Jared as well. Like I was like, he articulated things incredibly well. He came at it with a different perspective. And yeah, it was really phenomenal. So I'm really excited to have him also in the film, and he was really a big help in coordinating things, making sure that things were put in place, that whether it was reservations or times, and he really helped out a lot. But he really brought some amazing stuff to the project, and I think people are going to be really impressed, but also coming from a point of view where he's gradually coming into this topic. But it was almost like in the film, he finally gets to a point where he's like, yeah, like this is my public appearance saying, yeah, based around the moon landing, why did they lie about the moon landing? Because he's like, yeah, they lied about it. Well, why? He's like, to get the picture, kind of like, it was just like that aha moment. It was Boom. Like, it was interesting right on film. He was just kind of like, yeah, this is the first time saying it, but yeah. So he was right in the interview. And at that point, he was literally acknowledging to himself, I'm ready. And I'm now saying this for the first time. Is like, yeah, it was a lie. So before he was on the fence, he wasn't 100%, he was open, but he hadn't committed. And right in the film, and even afterwards, we've had conversation, he's there. But when we were sitting there with the cameraman and I was interviewing him, I could just see this light go on. He's like, yeah, it's all right there. It all makes sense. It was really, really cool. But yeah, it was awesome. I really appreciate all the help that he brought to the project, and like I said, he has some incredible, phenomenal things to say, and it's a real honor to have him part of the project as well. Yeah, for sure. His father. I don't know if did you get a chance to meet his dad at all? I didn't. Yeah, his father pastors a church there in Lubbock that usually hosts the Nephilim conference. Of course, if you drove out there, you're out in Lubbock. I mean, it's easy to be a flat earther in Lubbock. It's just flat forever, and you look in every direction and see stuff. And, Pastor Dan Cressman's church, most of the people there are flat earthers. Well, what's crazy about Lubbock too, I just want to mention this as well too, though. The church that I'm going to presently or whatever, it was a church plant from Lubbock. So they were actually here for the private screening. They're very supportive of the film, and just my work in general. But they're actually a church plant in my city in Canada, but originally they're from Lubbock. So I just thought it was really intriguing how, we just got aligned and started going this direction. Then all of a sudden I'm going down to Lubbock. I'd never been to Lubbock. I'd never even heard of Lubbock, right? All of a sudden I'm sitting in Lubbock, the pastor, he's from Lubbock. So it was just really interesting how God brought this connection in, and just, like that whole small world mentality, but also it was all kind of orchestrated. It was like Lubbock. It was like I was to be in Lubbock. And I know that, Joe's in Crosbyton just outside of Lubbock, but really, everything has been pointing to Lubbock. It's really strange that you bring Lubbock up, but yeah, you definitely can be a flat earther very quickly in Lubbock. Oh, yeah. One of the guys that I met that was at the church, he was like, yeah, so I went out there, I got these high-power binoculars, and I would take my friends out and look in a certain direction, and it's like, what do you see? Well, I see such and such a town. Yeah, that's 30 miles away. Now let's look over here. What do you see over here? Oh, I see such and such. Well, yeah, that's, and of course, we're not talking about skyscrapers out there. They have, I don't know what the tallest building is out there, but it's not that tall, and yet people are seeing them. It's a pretty strong case. But going to break, we'll talk some more when we come back. Sounds good. And we're back on the Revolutionary Radio Project. I'm your host, Rob Skiba, for the final half-hour segment of the broadcast. I'm talking with my guest, Robbie Davidson. And right before the break, we were talking about his new DVD. And why don't you tell people where they can get the DVD when it's finally released? Sure. Actually, we have the pre-order available right now. The special pre-order is at celebratetruth.org. So if you just go to celebratetruth.org, or on Facebook, you can just type in Scientism Exposed. You can get it through the Facebook page, but the official website, celebratetruth.org. That's my YouTube channel on YouTube as well, Celebrate Truth. You can find all my content and information through there. Yeah, right on. We're also talking about Lubbock, and I was talking about some of the people I met out there taking high-powered binoculars and whatnot, and just looking around in just about every direction, and you can see buildings and whatnot of other cities, and there's not a whole lot of skyscrapers out there, so you're not talking about really tall buildings, and yet you can see them from 20, 30, 40 miles away, 50 miles away, or what have you.
that's pretty good evidence for some people. And
yeah,
I was
people
talking
in Lubbock were great too. Like we had an opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't make it into the film, but we were interviewing certain people just on the street in Lubbock, and they're skeptical of the lies of scientism big time, right? You just start bringing up a few things, and they're like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Like they're not 100% sold on everything they hear. That's for sure.
Oh, so you did a roving microphone on the street kind of thing?
Yeah, but we did, again, it just didn't work out as far as the actual
didn't make it
official,
in the film.
release. But again, we did have some footage of certain people because we wanted to kind of get just everyday, people talking and that type of thing. So it was just, but Lubbock, they were definitely a real friendly, fun bunch.
That might be something fun to put in special features or something, or do a release,
at some point.
or go out and do some more of that, man on the street kind of thing. That's always, that always adds an interesting flavor.
Absolutely.
Pastor Dan, when I was talking with him just kind of privately, he was like, brother, I can't get past the firmament, man. I can't. He was locked at the time when I was out there. He was locked. He wasn't convinced 100% that the earth is flat, but he was definitely convinced that there's a firmament. And, what do we do with all this? And he was, really diving in and looking into the whole deal. And, to be honest with you, that was a big part for me too. I mean, there's still questions I have that remain unanswered, and I don't have the time to continue looking into it. But as far as the shape of the Earth and the map and the continents and the layout and the size and the actual map, all that kind of stuff, that's unresolved. But biblically speaking, the firmament, it's there, it's solid. And it's connected to the earth, and I'm so glad you got Zen on. I know he did a great job because that dude is like a book making factory. I mean, he's just pumping out books.
He's like 14. I think he's done. He was talking about he'd be in the interview like, in my 12th book, blah blah blah. In my 10th book, blah blah blah. It's like, wow. But yeah, he's got like 14 books. But yeah, when we got there, he just loaded me and Justin, the camera guy, right up with books. He's like, I want you to have them. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Right, big box. Like, we're leaving there with this big box of all these books, right? But I was really blessed, and it was awesome to finally meet with Zen. Because like I said, I've been on his show many times and gotten to know him, and it was just really awesome to kind of sit down personally, in his home and really kind of get to know him. I mean, we weren't there too long because it was late, but we were able to be there long enough to, spend some time with him and get some really good footage. And it's definitely in Scientism Exposed too. And I think that, people are going to be really excited to see him shine, in the film as everyone does, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited. And you said you had a private screening at your house.
Yeah.
And so were these just coworkers, people
just family. I mean, I had my parents and, people that were, even on board with this topic and, just support-wise, but some that are open and interested, some that are just hardcore flat earthers, right? And, everyone just thought it was done really well. And again, some people had seen the first one and they talked about how much better this one was, just in all the terms of production and just the way it was presented. And I mean, for me, that was good to hear as well, but then also from the aspect of really making them think and just how it was presented. So everyone was blown away. One of the quotes, and this is the guy that actually was an atheist for 40 years of his life. He said, "I'm sitting here with goosebumps." He goes, "Scientism Exposed 2 is going to change lives." He goes, "This film is going to change people's lives forever."
Now, how do you know him? How did you know?
He actually, reached out, it's like in Edmonton, and this was really spontaneous. All of a sudden, he just kind of reached out, and it was in Edmonton, and then I got in this little mode where I'm just like, somebody put a thing, roll call, where are you from? So anytime I saw my city, I'm like, oh wow, I just reached out to them, like, hey, we gotta, meet up, or we gotta say hi. You're in my city. Like, it was just weird to see, I'm in this city in Canada, but all of a sudden I'm seeing this roll call, and some people are saying, I'm in Edmonton. So I reached out to the one guy. He had said he met up with one other guy that was in the city one time. They had coffee twice. I said, well, we should get together. Well, there was going to be about 3 of us. Well, it ended up when we finally got together, there were 6 of us. So we officially made it like the first kind of flat earth meetup in the city. So we've got the next one scheduled for the 19th of November. And so far, what I'm thinking, there's going to be maybe 12 to 15 that are going to show up to that one. Because since then, I've reached out to a few more people in my city. And one of the guys that we were going to meet on the 19th, I called up him. And I said, hey, I'm doing a private screening. Would you like to come? He goes, I'd be honored. That'd be amazing, because he's a big fan of mine and your work and all that. He was very excited for it to come out anyway. So, yeah, they came over. And it was the first time meeting them. So I had a couple people in my house that I'd never even met. I was just like, hey, nice to meet you finally. Yeah, come on, sit down, right? So there was about 14 to 15 of us. And, had it on. And it was really enjoyable for me to kind of do a private screening, but then also to just watch people's reactions from afar. But then also afterwards, just to kind of hear what people had to say. But it was very, very favorable, and I was very excited to hear the response, not just from a supporting point of view, but also, where they laughed, where they were surprised, where they were kind of angry. You know what I mean? Like, have those emotions from people where you wanted those emotions to come out. I think was really important. And I think you're going to even get a chuckle out of a couple things that you see how it's edited together. But again, it's done in good taste, and I think everyone was blown away that it was a very powerful film, and that many people, that all churches. I mean, one of the people had said that all churches need to see this. But overall, the consensus was that, this needs to be, many people need to see this. I think this is incredibly important.
I wonder if there's a possibility you could get like a Netflix deal or something, or, get into one of those type of, Netflix original or something like that. I mean, they put documentaries does have a category.
Yeah, and that's the plan. I'm actually kind of working right now to actually get it done in a way that basically a network or a Netflix or someone like that will be at that point a caliber, the way it's presented in a way that, kind of like how I did Scientism Exposed. This will be a way that will basically grasp a whole new audience that basically will come into this content, but it will be done in a little bit different way. Again, the way that they're presented, even like Scientism Exposed, even though people wanted to see it on Netflix, the way it was done is just, it would never be on Netflix, even if it was a caliber, just maybe because there was too much of this or too much of that. So if it's done in a certain way, and the idea is to do kind of like an hour version of it. So basically, with commercials or whatever, it would be like 50 minutes or whatever. But there is work, there is ideas about getting the content, getting the topic done, but in a way that would be able to, a distributor would be able to take and be able to pitch it to Netflix's or, PureFlix or other people, other type of networks, right? Even when it comes to international or overseas, there is ways, but again, they have to be done a little different. You have to craft it in a certain way. Like most networks, it has to be done. You have to cut it down. You have to have certain breaks, or so if it's an hour, it's got to be, 48 minutes, like it just, there's certain ways that is done in broadcast. That's not my world, so I would have to give it to someone that understands broadcast to basically market it that direction. So, but I am interested because I know that there's a lot bigger audiences, and it's going to go a lot bigger than even what I think right now, and that's why there's good people coming aside to say, hey, we can maybe take it, we can do this, we can do that, but again, I would hold all the rights as far as creative control and all that. But I do see if it's done a certain way, and it's not watered down. But if it's done in such a way that will draw them to get the full projects, like Scientism Exposed 2, but it will probably be named something different. It'll be a combination of 1, 2, and 3. It'll be all put together for an hour special for a network. Basically hitting it so much that it's like, this is good television, this is good, this is something that people would watch. And it would be like, yeah, because there's a ton of really great documentaries, on Netflix, of all sorts of different topics. But you'll notice that a lot of the times those topics, they're done in such a way that they get the conversation started. But then when they go online or they go somewhere else, they can get really deep. They can go into the meat. So it's almost like the milk version, And then if they want the meat, they start looking for it, and they will find it. So I think that in order to do it that way, it will have to be presented where it's kind of like Scientism Exposed 1, 2, and 3. Grab all the greatest bits of all those 3, put them into like an hour version, something that could actually potentially get onto Netflix.
Yeah, that's exciting. So we're talking about the first International Flat Earth Conference and also the new DVD, Scientism Exposed Part 2. Where can people get the DVD when it comes out once again? And where can people find more information about the upcoming conference? Sure.
Yeah, the DVD can be found at celebratetruth.org. You can see the trailer on the website. You can go to YouTube, type in Celebrate Truth. The trailer's there as well. All the information, the links in the description. But celebratetruth.org is the main website. You'll see the trailer. You can see the reviews. And we do have the pre-order right now. The DVD is $24.95. It's on for $19.99 for the special pre-order price. The DVD releases November 20th. We'll have everything shipped out. And as far as the conference, where we're doing the worldwide premiere of the film on the Friday evening, that would be on the November the 10th, you can find all the information for the conference. If you're interested in getting the live stream, which includes both days, including the film, and the Flat Earth Video Awards show we'll be doing after the film, you can find that at fe2017.com. Just fe2017.com, and you'll find all the information on the conference, on the film premiere, and so much more.
Yeah, and there's also the schedules on there, so if people want to see who's speaking and when, you can go to, again, fe2017.com, click on the schedule. It's November 9th and 10th. And how many speakers total do you have?
12.
12 speakers. Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
and
it's exciting. Like I said, I got you and Patricia and Mark and David Weiss, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. I got Jaron and John and Bob from the Globebusters. And we've got Pastor Dean Otley, got Richard Hopkins, Emmanuel Lakonga, Carly Medrano. We've got Daryl Marble, D Marble, as most people know him. And then we got Iru Landucci. He's from Argentina. He'll be flying in from Argentina. And I think Iru is about to blow a lot of people away. He actually was featured on Globebusters. Actually, twice now he's been featured. But I think Bob Nodell discovered him. And he has been making waves with the Spanish community. And he's going to talk about the explosion that's happening with this topic with the Spanish-speaking people, as well as what's happening with Argentina. A big name actor in Argentina, kind of equivalent to like Robert De Niro here, has come out vocally about Flat Earth. And he's going to be talking a little bit more. Iru runs a radio show, and he's also getting more syndication as far as growing, in his country. And it's going to be really cool to hear kind of an international feel of what's happening in different parts of the world with this topic. Sometimes we only hear, what's happening here in North America, and it will be nice to hear, especially when it comes to the Spanish-speaking community and what he's kind of noticed. But also, he's a computer animator, 3D modeler, incredibly brilliant, talented guy, and can he ever do a presentation? And the investigations he's done on this topic, like I said, Rob, it will even shock you on the levels and the stuff that he's looking into. It's like FE Core, like Mike, and that team, as far as getting into like the movements of the sun and all sorts of things. It's very sophisticated stuff they're into. But I'll tell you, he is just completely exposing lie after lie when it comes to, and his specialty is in green screening and blue screen. And he's been able to point out a lot of inconsistencies. And like I said, it was Bob Nodell that actually discovered him. And it was a GoFundMe that got him over because he had like everything. It was just airfare he needed. Well, I think Globebusters, Bob talked to me. I said, we have to get Iru over. There's something about him. We just have to get him over. So they did a GoFundMe. He was funded in less than 24 hours. He was completely funded to fly over. And the community just spoke, and they just said, we want him. We want him. He has to come over. And he's just a down-to-earth, genuine, just awesome, likable guy. And I think he'll be a real surprise appearance for a lot of people. And I'm really excited to include also D Marble. I've got to know Daryl really well, and he's a peacemaker. You want to talk about me being a peacemaker? Well, we got more peacemakers coming to the conference, trust me. And Daryl is just an awesome peacemaker. He's a big picture kind of guy. He's genuine. He's down to earth, and I'm just really incredibly encouraged to have someone that is in influence the way that Daryl is, and just a great role model for everyone to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that he's actually right before me on the roster. He's speaking 3 p.m. to 3:45. So, and it looks like he's talking about showing many deceptions with NASA. So he may be the perfect setup for me. Yeah, he's really, and it's a dream come true for him. Like, honestly, like he's just been so incredibly thankful, and just how this all came together so quickly with him coming over, and everyone in Argentina and the Spanish speaking community have been so supportive and excited that he's coming over to represent, at the first International Flat Earth Conference. So they're very excited there. And if you follow him, you will see that he's got a very, very large presence in Argentina, and like his radio show. And, I've tuned in a couple of times. I don't understand what they're saying, but he always gives me a shout out if he's doing a Facebook Live and he sees me pop in. He's like, Robbie Davidson. I'm like, okay, I understand that. Hello, But other than that, he's got, and his grasp of English language, even though he will apologize a lot. I'm very sorry, my English is, and I'm like, your English is great, dude. Like, you speak better English than I speak Spanish. Put it that way, right? So you're doing a great job, and I think he's going to be a real awesome presentation. I think people are really going to enjoy it because he's just so down to earth. He's funny, and I'll tell you, it's a slam dunk with what he brings up. It's just like you just shake your head. It's SMH for sure. You're just like, yep. He's got it. So it's really a great addition. So like I said, I'm super excited. I'm excited obviously for this year, and I'm excited to see where it goes in years ahead. Like I said, planning next year's. I mean, this is just growing exponentially, and I'm excited to definitely be, the position I'm in, but then also to be surrounded by such amazing people, and just to be able to focus on the positive and, kind of ignore a lot of the negative, because like I said, we're under, a spiritual war here. This is a topic that, in a spiritual sense does not want to get out. So to me, I'm really encouraged. There's so many people out there praying, being encouraging, and I really appreciate everyone's prayers, because definitely we need them. Yeah, for sure. Well, we appreciate it. There was somebody that posted something I saw on Facebook recently that said that he did a walk around or something and prayed over the hotel or something.
Yeah. I sent an email, I believe, to you and me, and as
Yeah.
well. He did an email out and stuff. Yeah, and he's actually faithfully been doing that. And there's a few other people that have actually been, praying and just making sure that, and it is wonderful to see that. And I mean, knowing everything that I know, making sure that I have, good security in place. And really, it's not just security, for that. It's just also if something happens, if there's an emergency or whatever, things can be dealt with. I mean, you have to have these things in place. But I'm not concerned at all. Like, I'm not throwing all this stuff in place because I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm starting to get really concerned. I'm not concerned at all. I think that really nothing is going to happen. It's going to be a wonderful time, but it's in place, number one, as a deterrent, but it's also there just that it can be dealt with very quickly. But I mean, I don't believe that anyone's in harm's way. And I tell people all the time, there's not going to be 100 protesters out on the sidewalk. Maybe year 5, maybe year 3, but not year 1. Not yet. It's not coming yet, but it will come soon.
Yeah. Speaking of coming soon and changing this topic just for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. Wow. What's going on with Bitcoin, man?
Bitcoin, I know. And it's such a controversial topic, right? Because there's so many people that really, have looked at it, and they really haven't looked at it too thoroughly. But I've actually been in Bitcoin. Actually, before what I was doing, I actually, my company, I did a cross North America tour, and we did 50 cities in North America, every major city pretty much in Canada and the US, 50 cities in 5 months. And what we did, we were doing an awareness tour, and we were just telling people what Bitcoin is. This is what it does. This is why it's different. So I mean, I was at conferences, I was speaking on it, and basically I was kind of, basically doing an awareness tour. So I was in the space for quite a while, and I've been in Bitcoin for, I'd say, about, 5-6 years now. And really, it's been absolutely extraordinary. Now, a lot of people kind of think, oh, it's the mark of the beast, or it's the New World Order currency. And what I can tell you, knowing all the people, I'm talking the bigger names that, were in it, it was created as a revolt against the government. And I can tell you that the government and the banks hate it. Now, they're investing in the technology to compete against it. And what is going to happen is, yes, most likely the New World Order currency will be based on the blockchain. And the blockchain is the technology that basically, empowers Bitcoin. But the blockchain is not Bitcoin. It's basically the technology that you can build anything. You and I could build our own coin tomorrow and call it the Robbie coin, whatever. So again, there's going to be thousands of currencies in the future. We have this idea there's only going to be a few, but in the future, you're going to have tens of thousands of currencies. They're all going to ride kind of like the internet. You can have tens of thousands or millions of websites, but they all run on the HTTP protocol as far as the internet. So the same way with the blockchain, there's going to be millions of currencies that are going to ride. Now, right now, Bitcoin obviously is like the leader in many different ways. Bitcoin was created so that it could not be controlled. It could not, it's decentralization. What that means is basically there's no one point where you can take it down. So trust me, in times past, they tried to do digital gold. They tried to do all these things. The government came in, the FBI raided it, shut it down. Well, the problem is with Bitcoin, you'd have to shut down every single computer in the world. Their entire infrastructure is on the internet. Not to mention, with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, you can safely store them offline. You can put them in a safe. You can put them on a paper wallet. There's many ways to store Bitcoin. So even if they shut down the internet, I tell people this all the time, how long do you think they shut down the internet for? How long do you think they can afford to shut down the internet? So the whole idea that, if they shut down the internet, all your stuff is gone. No, that's false. But the idea that Bitcoin is inherently evil is wrong. And I'll tell you right now, when you see Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan coming out and saying that anyone caught trading Bitcoin is fired in my organization and saying it's a fraud, and when you see all the big banksters around the world, really trying to come down on it, you got to basically say, well, wait a minute, why do they hate it so much? And now you can say, well, it's a big play, they're trying to do this. No, this has been going on for many, many years. Now it's about to start to explode because the world is now saying, they're starting to speak. And I tell this all the time to people. I say that Bitcoin will do to money what email did to writing letters. Now, people still write letters, but email is so much more efficient. Bitcoin is the money of the internet. The internet was created after money. And the only thing that has not technologically advanced is money. Everything is pretty much advanced, if you think about it, technological, but they have been able to hold control of money. So they've kept it archaic. They've tried to force it onto the internet, and it doesn't work well. Try to do a 50-cent transaction on the internet. You can't. Well, Bitcoin, you can. You can do multi-transactions. You can do transactions of 5 cents without, so there's so many more, and they're fighting it. So right now, they're at a point where they can't fight it any longer. What they can do, though, is compete. So they're going to play the fear game. They're going to say, oh, a bunch of criminals use that Bitcoin stuff. And I'm not just saying Bitcoin. There's Ethereum, there's Litecoin, there's lots of other ones out there. And we could get in that discussion about what's good, what's bad, whatever. But the reality is that Bitcoin is, the world is speaking and is saying, we want this. This is valuable to us. Because Argentina, as an example, the government has major controls. Well, what did the Argentinian people do? They started pouring their money out of Bitcoin to get their money out of the government's hands. So it's not, people think that, oh, you're people can't track you with Bitcoin. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's not anonymous. It's pseudonymous. But it's one of those things where, yes, in time, the government will tax you, just regular like anything else. But think about being able to send $100 to your friend in a split second without these exorbitant fees and having no banks. I'm going to say this on your show, and I'm going to let time be the factor. But banks, as we know them, are in serious trouble. Just like the retailers are in serious trouble when Amazon. People used to laugh at Amazon. People said that Amazon was just a joke and they would fade out. Amazon's destroying them. The taxi unions used to sit there and laugh at Ubers. They're not laughing anymore. They're trying to fight to death to destroy them. But Uber will win. Technology will always win, and we don't need to be scared of technology, but we need to be observant and understand that technology. So when you look at something, you have to understand the fundamentals behind it. The New World Order will create a very efficient cryptocurrency that they'll be able to inflate it, where Bitcoin, you can't. It has a limited supply. It's like gold and silver. You can only have a certain amount. There will only be 21 million ever. But they will have one that you can inflate. Whenever they get in trouble, they'll make more of their currency. It will be controlled. They can go in and control it at any point. They can do whatever they want. But Bitcoin can't be. And hopefully more people will look into it, not just run around and think it's this, that, the other thing. They need to look into it because we talk about getting out of the matrix. We talk about getting out of the money system. This is one of the greatest ways. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin are the three that I believe in very strongly. But again, I'm not saying just Bitcoin. Find one. But it's better than the currency you have in your pocket, because that money that you have in your pocket, they are inflating to death. So while you're sleeping, they're robbing you and you don't even know it because they just printed $1 billion more. You wake up and that bag of chips cost you a lot more. Everything's going up in price. It takes more dollars to pay for the same things. What's happening? Is Bitcoin going up or is the dollar going down? And what I'm telling you right now, what we're seeing is not that Bitcoin's going through the roof. We're showing the fact that basically money or currencies of the world are becoming less and less valuable in the eyes of the world. And when you see all the banks and you see the Federal Reserve coming together and saying, what the heck? Why isn't this destroyed? And they're saying, guys, we can't destroy it. Okay, plan B. And I've seen this. I've looked into it thoroughly for years and years and years. Now they are moving to invest in the technology because they know how much money they can make with it. They will build their own. They will make everyone safe. They will say, keep it in the banks. We'll keep it safe for you. You don't have to worry about, thieves robbing and all this. So they're going to play the fear game. But you watch over time, the media will portray Bitcoin for thieves, robbers, hackers, people that are trying to, take money. You see this all the time in the media. They will use the media to keep people, the average person, scared of it. They'll be like, I don't know about that Bitcoin. I heard that criminals use that. I don't want to be a criminal. That's the way they're going to play the game because that's the only card they have to play. They cannot shut it down. They cannot control it. This, to me, is something the world has never seen, but it is a revolutionary technology that will transform the entire financial system, and banks and anything that has to do with money are in serious trouble if they don't at least start moving with it, just like Amazon and these companies started moving with the internet. Uber, technology, whatever, all this stuff is moving one direction. So if you start to sit there and say, I'm not moving, we're good enough, we don't have to do a thing, you will be destroyed. This is a very disruptive technology, just like the internet was. I've gone on the record before to say this, that Bitcoin or the blockchain technology is more incredible than the internet itself. You think HTTP is incredible, what happened with the internet? You haven't seen nothing yet. The blockchain technology won't even just touch money. It will revolutionize everything. I'm talking deeds, transfers, wills. You'll be able to write wills without even having a fee. You completely take out the middleman. You don't have to pay anyone a fee. It just runs by itself. And I'm telling you, the thing is absolutely extraordinary. So you can love it or hate it. But again, the beautiful thing about cryptocurrencies is people are creating currencies all over the place. You have a choice. For the first time, we, the people, have a choice to choose something other than what the government is telling us what to choose.
Yeah, that's a good note to end on. We got like 30 seconds left. But yeah, I just we should do really. I've been talking about this with you before. Just do a whole show on this alone, because it is something a lot of people don't understand and should look into. But man, at this point, I just checked it out. $6,877, people. Wow. Hey, Robbie, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me, Rob. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening to the Revolutionary Radio Project. We'll see you back next Wednesday, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Good night, everybody.